to work on love. That's why I say I must have a
I can
gift.
tell, right.
You know,
I can
I don't
tell.
have
That's
to,
why I wanted you here.
You know, I don't have to work on love.
You just walk in it.
I just walk in it. And I thank the Lord for that, because, you know, it's just like so many people, they love you if you can give them something.
Exactly.
They love you, you know, is what you can give me. But if you don't have anything to give
so
me,
then they don't love you.
They don't love you.
That's when you find out who your real friends
that's
are.
the truth.
Like,
So,
oh, well, you don't have nothing now.
So I found out, even being a pastor, I love people.
And let them know before we go off the air where you're at, where you're located.
Okay. I just wanted to say I thank Wilmington for the respect that I get in Wilmington from the women and the men, and I thank God for that.
Received.
You know, because there was a time that I didn't even love myself, and you loved me. And I was a hairdresser in this town for 37 years. I had my own business, and I learned how to love you. I learned a lot of mistakes doing hair, and you know, and I thank God how I go to the supermarket. Everywhere I go, people love me, and it's just that it's hard to be something in your own hometown, especially when you did so much wrong here.
Yeah.
But I thank the Lord for answering.
Your home doesn't receive you.
Yes, it is awesome, and I just thank the Lord for being called to a pastor in Wilmington. And our church is on Namus Road. It's a little different in time. We have services at 2 o'clock, and we're going to be coming back to the city real soon.
Right.
But you know, if you would love to fellowship with us, we're Water in the Wilderness, and we give you water because there's so many of us are in the wilderness.
Thirsty.
Yes, and we're thirsty. And that only water can quench your thirst, which is the Holy Spirit.
And once you take a hold of that water, you won't thirst again.
And, you know, and I thank God for that, because there's one thing I want to say. You won't find any control in our church.
That's right.
You know, because church is a choice.
Yes.
To serve God is a choice, and every day you make a choice. And you know, they tell you have to be there. No, you have to have a relationship with God. And one thing about me,
that's the most important thing.
I lead people to the Lord. I don't lead them to me.
Right.
Because being honest with you, I could fail you, but He would never fail you.
Because we're man.
You know, and so I encourage you to get to know Jesus, because Jesus is love. And when you find yourself, like sometimes I find myself in fear, and to do something different, and the Lord lets me know, love casts away fear. Every time I get fearful to do something, I have a new project that the Lord wants me to do, and He said, why are you afraid? He said, put love in that place, because it's something I've never done before. And when you've never done something, Ashley, sometimes, you know, fear will come in, and we can't be shameful in pride and say, you know, but you got to learn to do it.
But a love and a sound mind.
That's the truth.
We always have to remember that.
That's the truth.
Sometimes we do forget, because we are living in this.
That's right. So I thank the Lord, because I move beyond my fears, and I do it afraid. As Jewish moms would say, do it or fear. You know, and just do it.
You still step out on faith.
You do it anyway. Even the ministry, everything is new.
Right.
Because I told God, I don't see no examples in the, you know, as pastors.
Right.
I only see you, Jesus.
Right. And that's what He wants us to look at anyway, is Him. I don't look at men, because I already know what happened when I did that.
You know, and
they'll tell you every time.
That is so true. And I just want to say one other thing that I believe. I believe that I'm called to equip people to be all that they are. Yes. And see them go out.
All that God has called them
and be, you know, whoever they want to be. I don't believe in holding on to people. You know, I learned that by doing hair. You know, because, you know, if you want to hold on to people, you're going to always lose.
Right.
But you have to teach them and let them go.
Right.
You can, you know,
what we do with our children.
That's the same
thing. They come into you and you feed them, and when they're fed, as much as, because everything is for a season. So once you've been their pastor for that season, however long that season is, then you do let go.
That's the truth. You have to let them learn to fly as an eagle, you know, because if you keep them in the net. I look at churches, and I've been in church all my life, and people, they do the same thing over and over again, and You go back and they're dead. They're so old and they haven't grown and they're so gifted and they're still sitting there. And you find very few pastors that look around and see the gifts in the church. They bring people in, but they don't.
It's all there.
It's already
there. Instead of using the people that you already have in your own church, they'll go outside the church.
That is so true. So I thank the Lord because I move in deliverance, and I'm very proud to say I'm a prophet.
Right.
You know, well, there was a time I would never say that because I didn't understand.
You weren't really comfortable with it. You had.
I had never been comfortable with any of the gifts that God gave me. You know, because I didn't choose me. He chose me. And you know, and I wasn't comfortable being anything. But now I feel more comfortable because He's allowed me to have a lot of experiences to go out and speak over people and see the change. I can speak sometimes, and these women haven't seen their husbands in months. And as soon as it's over, this was last week, as soon as it was over, and I said, this is your last cry, because God is going to manifest today. Her husband showed up after the service. And, you know, it was nothing but God. And, you know, He's proven Himself, you know.
Over and over, so you can't help but to be proud of what you walk in.
Yes, you know, so I thank Him because He surprised me.
He still does.
You know, He is such a good God.
He'll show up and show out every time.
Yes, He really
never fail.
And I always tell people, keep doing what you're doing. If God say do it, Ashley, just keep doing it.
That's right.
Because, you know, a ladder is going to be greater.
Yes.
So there's the greatest thing I want you to know is love. And if you don't feel that you have love, check your relationship with the Lord. Because if you don't have love, you don't have Christ, because Christ is love. And that lets you know exactly if He's living inside of you or what's hindering you from receiving His love. Because I want to say another thing. That was my biggest problem. But when you've been molested in life, you have a hard time receiving, you know, because you try to have walls and protection.
You have these barriers up.
Yes, and I try to protect myself so long, and the Lord told me, you can't protect yourself. I have to protect you. And I let down my barriers, and a lot of times I got hurt, but He always protected me because He wanted me to be able to be touched by the infirmity. He wanted me to learn how to work the word, not just quote the word. He wanted me to learn how to work it and get back up and say, I forgive you. Because on the way to the cross, the greatest thing that He taught me, Sadie, forgive them because they not know what they're doing to you. Because everybody...
a lot of times people are hurt and they're not doing it deliberately.
No.
And the ones that know Christ, it could be something going on with them, and they're just going by what they know.
That's right.
And so we always have to remember, too, that...
Not to take it personally.
Right. And He uses us as pawns. He uses people as pawns.
Yes.
And since we know that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, because we know who the real enemy is.
That's right.
So we want to get mad at somebody. We know who to get mad at.
That's right.
And it's not that person.
It's not
we want to
that
love
person.
that person no matter what they do to us.
That's so
and I'm
true.
not just saying this. I have done this because I know my ex-husband, because I told you all the stuff he had did to me. And I pray for him fervently, fervently every day. Effectual fervent prayer of a righteous man availeth much.
Amen.
So every day, even through the stuff he was doing to me, even through all the pain, through all the hurt, I was still praying for him. And I made sure I prayed it out loud so the enemy could hear.
Amen.
You know, because I had to let the enemy know that no weapons formed against me shall prosper.
Amen. And see what you was doing, God was building character in you.
Right.
Because
at the time I didn't know what was going on. I just know I was hurting.
I know. That's the truth.
Right. I just know I was
hurting. The thing of it is, love still covers.
Right.
You know,
and that's what it was doing.
Everybody that I know that actually just mistreat me for no reason.
Right, and that's the thing that gets you, because you just like, you know, you've always been nice and kind to them and loving, and then you wonder, well, where is this coming from and why are they doing this?
But you know what? It's